Welcome to Casting Calls. Today's guest is a commercial agent based out of Los Angeles. She's actually the head commercial agent for Avalon Artists Group. Avalon has agencies and offices in both New York and in Los Angeles. Her name is Stephany Burns, and full disclosure, she's also my sister-in-law. Welcome, Steph.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello from California.
I know, from cozy, warm California. We've been talking about our quarantines. How's yours going so far?
It's every week is a new week. One week is we're going to make bread. Next week, we're going to cut our bangs. And next week, who knows?
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's something else exciting. So one of the first things that I want to talk to you about is kind of what goes on for you guys in the Los Angeles, commercial world, because I think that there are more similarities than differences, but there are definitely differences between the Southeastern market and the Los Angeles market. One of the first things I want to know is what makes you decide to sign an actor? If someone submits to you, what do you look for when you're deciding whether or not to sign them?
So usually it's going to be a referral from somebody that I respect. That's a recommendation. Then when I look at them, I'm going to look and see if they have a je ne sais quoi, if I see dollar signs. If that person looks like they're going to make money, I'm definitely interested. And then I'm going to look and see if they have a look, a type, an essence, something that I can look at them and go, oh, they'd play a good this or that. So type. And then if their picture is something that just pops, something that stands out. Again, going back to the look, a type. Oh, and then what else would make me pick somebody? Obviously their resume, their credits, their training. For us, it's a lot of comedy. We want to see comedy training. So all of us are the comedy schools. So, Second City, Groundlings, UCB is going to be a big factor, and not just taking a class, but going all the way. And graduating and being, on a team or in Sunday company is a really, really big deal for us. And then TV credits. So any kind of TV credits that you have that are, a show that everybody has heard of, is going to be a big factor.
So you're looking for TV credits, even when you're thinking specifically about signing them to your commercial division, you're still looking, hey, has this person done any co-star work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to, because now there's just too much competition out there for commercials. And so they're really only bringing in heavy hitters, and heavy hitters are people with credits. And so the only time you get called in if you don't have credits is if you have special skills that other people don't have, like a unicycle or spins fire or something like that other people can't do. And you have pictures of it and you have videos of it to prove it, because you can no longer just put on your resume, canoeing. It has to be, or fly fishing or something so random like that. We'd want to see a picture of you in that outfit or video of you doing that. So yeah, I know it's crazy right now. It's just so competitive that you have to have something to offer them. And if it's not the look, but it's the resume. If it's not the resume, then it's got to be this special skill. Or if you don't have any of that, but you are in Sunday company, which, by the way, if you're in Sunday company, you're bound to have the other things. You got to have something, the only other thing that I can think of why I would call somebody in if they don't have if they're like green as can be, is if a casting director or a commercial director calls me specifically and says, this is a person that I met through blah, 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 blah. I know they're new, but you've got to see this person. That would be the only time I would call them in if they don't have anything on their resume and no headshots or anything. Even if they didn't have headshots, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that would be hard. That makes sense.
It's like your first thing. Hi.
Here's my Polaroid, but
right. Or people that were always like, I really want to get into voiceover. And I'm like, great. Let me hear your reel. And they're like, oh, I don't have a reel. Like, oh,
okay.
I guess I'll remember how we're talking right now.
So you're saying the same thing that we say, which is the toolkit. You've got to have the right toolkit, right? In order for us to be able to get you any opportunities.
Headshot, resume, reel.
Right. You mentioned actually putting interesting pictures, and you mean like on their casting networks profile, like, so if you're great at tennis or you're an amazing golfer or those types of things, you're saying putting some of those kind of action shots or videos as part of your casting networks profile?
Yes, yes. And so, do you remember the 80s when it was, composite or composite,
Yeah.
where, tennis, golf, whatever.
Yeah. Huh?
So it's kind of come back to that without props. So you don't have to wear a stethoscope and you don't have to, whatever, but you can insinuate. So, my people that go out for pharmaceutical commercials or Walgreens or Rite Aid commercials are always in the white coat and always have that warm, and, you always want to come off warm. You don't want to be like, I'm a bitch who, oh wait, can I cuss on here?
Absolutely. You just did.
Okay. Sorry.
YouTube.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't be like a mean doctor in commercials, right? It's just we are here to help. You want what we have.
right.
So those videos, those lifestyle pictures and videos, yes, you just have to be careful, because if it's you can't do a selfie, and they're not going to accept photos with filters. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't have to be professional from a headshot photographer, but it does have to be a good quality photo of, let's say, I get all the time people and their real pets, people and their real kids. And if you are a mom or dad and you have children and they can audition with you, and you don't have a picture of the family on we call it LA casting here, on LA casting, it's so much more difficult for me to scramble to find and be like, wait, I know they're a family. I got to find and then I've already forgotten and I've moved on to the next person. So if you have a pet, that's a really big deal. If you are like gymnastics or play a sport, I think wearing the jersey isn't a terrible thing to do, especially for like Buffalo Wild Wings. If you are that best friend that you can see yourself on any beer commercial or, kind of Buffalo quick service restaurant, have a picture in a jersey. Why not?
That's kind of a difference here in the Southeast. We're not yet recommending necessarily that people put a lot of those types of photos on our casting networks, but things are often always changing.
Well, and not only that, but remember, so there's also pre-apocalypse and now.
True.
So pre-apocalypse, you can never put like I'm very careful telling people to put home pictures on, because I know that there's crazies out there that are not professional, that are going to do those like weird photos next to a tree, like that they took themselves. I'm not talking about those people. I am specifically talking to professional actors that know what they're doing, that put headshots on correctly and know what they're doing. Those people that I can trust to put a good picture of them and their dog, do that.
No, I totally agree. And actually what you're saying makes sense. It's funny. We talked about this on my Facebook Live office hours last week. Someone asked a question about, hey, if we play this sport or do these things, do you think, or if I'm a stunt person, for instance, as well, could I put any of that stuff on casting networks? And my answer, and it sounds like it agrees with yours, was yes, as long as those pictures are professional and high quality and show you off, not some little snapshot that somebody took,
Yeah. Or like Avery I don't know if she does, but Avery should have actually a photo of her doing the splits in the air on her casting profile. That is a great way for her to go in for cheerleader, gymnastics, anything like that. Or even if she doesn't have that photo mid-air, just in her uniform would be a great one to do. The only thing you want to be careful about with stunt people is if that's all they do and that's all they want to do, then yes, add those pictures. But if they do stunts but they're really an actor, you don't want to pigeonhole them. I hate to say pigeonhole because I work in stereotypes, but I've had issues where I've had actors that are great stunt people, but then they try to get film and TV work on camera, and nobody will hire them on camera because they're just known as a stunt person. So
I literally had a discussion with someone yesterday, and I said, what we have to make sure we do is we tailor your profiles to be an actor who can do stunts because they're athletic, versus a stunt person who's trying to act.
Who's just a stunt person. Like, don't have a stunt resume. Yeah, exactly. Unless that's all you want to do, and in which case then I just have the people wearing, just black, simple, showing off, your body and your, how you look.
Now, a question for you. In the Southeastern market, because we are right to work states, LA, California is a union state. All of the states in the Southeast are right to work. And so we have a little bit of a difference there with the way that the union is handled, obviously. In our area, about 80% of our commercials are non-union. So about 20% are union, about 80% are non-union. What's the percentage out there, you think?
I feel like I'm debating whether our conversation should be pre-apocalypse or post in this time. I'm going to say pre-apocalypse. Yeah, I would say, God, I mean, it's more than half for sure more than half. It's a lot of non-union and really good paying non-union, really good paying. So it's definitely more than half. And it's a lot of it is because the platforms are moving too quickly and technology is moving too quickly, and the union contracts can't keep up because they're every 3 years, can't keep up. And there's so many rules and regulations and edits, and, you know, can you do 3 edits? Can you do 5? Can you do, you know, internet for this long, or, you know, cable is going to be for, you know, a cycle, which is, you know, 13 weeks. But if it's non-union, you could be like, look, I'm going to give you 50 grand and I want to do whatever the hell I want. Mm-hmm. And I don't have to deal with it, because what I put on a commercial on, you know, I don't know, Quibi or, you know, whatever, or Netflix. Do Netflix have commercials? I don't know. No, whoever. Yeah. The commercial that they're going to put on network in the middle of, during The Bachelor on NBC is going to be different than, let's say, what they're going to put on somebody's Instagram feed, you know? So they want that freedom to do what they want. And we've argued with the union constantly because they're not getting it. And they're doing what they can, and they're working as hard as they can to try to keep up. But in the meantime, there's these, you know, I don't want to blame millennials, but there's these millennials that are going to ad agencies and they're like, listen, I'll shoot a commercial for you and I'll do it for $5 grand, you know? And these ad agencies are like, okay, let's go rogue. And so they're not, you know, it's so.
So is your recommendation to actors similar to ours, which is stay non-union until you're a must join, basically?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. I would not join the union to join the union. Mm-hmm. I would join when you have to join. So there's non-union, obviously, before you get anything. Then you book something that is a SAG job, and there's different ways to do that. And then you're SAG eligible. Then you're must join. Then you're a must pay, which is kind of a different little thing. And then they station 12 you, and you cannot be on set unless you've made payment arrangements. And, you know, the thing with commercials with me, union or non-union, my sweet spot are people that are eligible, right? Or core, either way, I don't care. Everybody's working, right? Because I could submit you for union and non-union. Once you're union and you don't have TV credits, it is like, I don't want to say career suicide, but it is really hard to get somebody out for only union jobs that don't have TV credits, because they're competing against people that have credits. Meanwhile, my SAG eligible people with no credits are just banging it. I mean, they're just going out, you know, a couple times a week for jobs. I mean, they're not $50,000 jobs. They're like $3,000, $5,000 jobs, but they're still going out a lot and working a lot. So the argument, though, that I get into with the theatrical department is, you really have to be union to get roles and be a, you know, guest star, you know, recurring series regular. You have to be in the union. And so sometimes Craig and I will argue, because I need somebody to stay eligible because I can get them out for so much non-union stuff. But then Craig is starting to get them a ton of, you know, that he just booked a recurring guest star on, you know, This Is Us. And he's like, he's got to join. Like, there's no other option, you know? So that's when I seek a twin. And that's what I look for in headshots.
Right, you're looking to replace that person that just had.
I need to replace that person now, because they've spread their wings and now they've gone off to work and, you know, be on a show, which is great. And they're now a series regular on a show. But now I'm missing that. So then I'll go seek out somebody that might be that same type. So that's another reason why when I look through headshots, I'll look for somebody like that person.
I think it's really great for our Southeastern actors to hear this, because and I want them to hear this for those that may be newer to the industry. The difference here in the Southeast is that we're never a must join. So in a right to work state, what that means is that we can continue to do union and non-union jobs forever and ever.
Forever.
I've been tag eligible since 1998. And I've never joined the union simply because of the fact that it would cut out 80% of my work in the area that I live. Now, if I were to move to Los Angeles or New York, union states, I would be a must join. I would be required to join the union in order to do any union job.
In our area, LA and New York, it's not if you're going to join the union, it's when you're going to join the union. There's never not joining the union. And it does have a ton of benefits. And, you know, pension and health insurance is a huge deal here. And people all rely on health insurance here. Now, you have to make a certain amount of money a year to get the health insurance and keep it, which is a stress ball. But you know, it does have a lot of benefits. It really does. And there are a lot of great things about being in the union, but it would be absolutely pointless, in my opinion, to join the union where you live unless they are a series regular on a show.
Right. So the reason to join the union in the Southeast, in my opinion and an experience, would be if you were only working in film and television. So here's the thing, that in a right to work state, we're not actually allowed, it's illegal for them to inquire about our union status prior to hiring us.
Right.
So they can't even ask that. It's illegal. So therefore, we're not excluded. For instance, there's no difference from me booking a guest star role as a non-union actor or as a SAG eligible actor or as a union actor. But if I were to only be doing film and television and I were to say, that's it, I'm not going to do any more commercial work, then I would probably join the union because I love the aspect of kind of having that. However, we're still eligible for health insurance. We actually have the same rules as long as we make out of money and SAG money, we can get health insurance, but we're not eligible for the pension. My question back would be, do the casting directors in the Southeast care if they're, are they hiring series regular? And if they are they allowed, or do they look at people that are eligible, or are they just looking at the SAG actors? I don't know that. I don't know that area. So great question. They do hire some series regulars, although, so like Raven Drummer, who cast for Tyler Perry Studios, she's cast multiple series regulars for Tyler Perry shows, and we get some series regulars each season. However, there's still a ceiling in the Southeast, and that's mainly that political thing of the LA casting directors don't want the Southeastern casting directors to cast series regulars or even major series recurring, because that would make them obsolete. So right, because they're the main casting director, but then they'll hire markets to do the other roles. Correct. So we're starting to see some shift in that, where some studios are starting to realize they don't need an LA casting director if the whole show takes place in Atlanta. Which makes sense. Right. So there's some shift, and that will continue to shift. But as far as what you asked about, do casting directors, quote, only see SAG or only see SAG eligible people? It's illegal. So no, they don't know our union status. No, they don't inquire about our union status, and they don't want to know it, and they don't care. That's great. If they hire, absolutely. So if they happen to choose an actor who is non-union for a series regular, series recurring, they would just do a co-star, anything. They would do a Taft-Hartley. So it's a one form, and all they have to write is, when the question is, why did you hire a non-union actor for this union show? The answer is because this is a right to work state. So we get a lot of breakdowns, which is so wrong, and they so can't do this, but we get a lot of commercial breakdowns where they say SAG actors only, we will not Taft-Hartley. And that is such BS. And I will totally still submit my non-union actors and my SAG eligible actors. I mean, the only reason why I wouldn't submit my SAG eligible actors is if it is, let's say, an internet only commercial and you have to join the union for if you have to pay $3,500 to join the union, why would I book you on a social media commercial? So if it's national network, done, I'm submitting you, whatever. If it's, regional, or if it's, internet or social media, use, then I'm not going to submit my SAG eligible. Here's the weird thing though. Let me tell you what's been happening is that a lot of these commercials are posting the breakdown that it's internet only, right? An internet only SAG car commercial. They're testing the waters. So they're making 10 Toyota commercials. They're shooting it. They're putting it online, and they're seeing which ones do the best and which ones are getting the most, Likes and
whatever,
shares.
whatever the word is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they'll reach out to us and say, congratulations, now this commercial, we're making it a network spot. We're going to broadcast it, give you the 21-month contract, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, that's a bummer because my SAG eligible actors, I held back, you know, so now we're onto them and we're onto their game. So when we book these commercials that are internet only, we're submitting our SAG actors, but we're demanding double scale or a guarantee per cycle. So these SAG actors don't get totally screwed with an internet only spot and had to join the union.
Ah, yes. Good. Well, I'm glad that you guys are figuring it out. We've seen some of those too in the Southeast where they've done it with Home Depot, with some of the car spots where they're producing numerous spots and then they'll pick a couple that end up going to network.
Yeah. And you never know. You never know. I mean, they're not going to tell you how they're going to use a spot, you know, and actors are always like, how much am I going to get paid on this SAG commercial? And I'm like, it's going to be surprise money. And, you know, non-union spots are great because you know the answer. You're like, okay, I'm going to get, you know, 700 shoot and 5,000 buyout for a year, whatever. But union, it's like, I don't know. It could be the next big flow from Progressive. I don't know. It could be nothing. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah. We're gambling each time with the SAG ones. Right. We never know.
Yeah.
How quickly do you expect an actor to get back to you when you communicate to them? Let's say that you've sent them an audition and they have an audition tomorrow at 10 a.m. How quickly do you expect them to confirm or decline that audition?
I'm almost pissed by 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm really upset if, I mean, my favorite people are those that just check the green box and move on with their life and already start thinking about what they're going to do and look up the sides. You know, when they ask me for a time frame, when they say they can't go, I can't find the sides, and they're always in the same spot. No. So 20 minutes later, we're on the phone and we're calling and not like, hey, just you good? You
Please
check?
confirm so I know. Right.
So I know, because that's the other thing. If you don't confirm immediately, I need to buy time now to try to fill that spot because I just got that lottery ticket. And if this person can't go, I need somebody that can go, that wants to go and ready and willing. And by the way, if that person can't go, if it's for a reason other than like death, I'm probably going to consider dropping them.
Thank you. That's so good for actors to hear because I think that a lot really, really don't understand what it's like to be on the agent side and the fact that how much work it's already taken you just to get them that invite to the audition. Right.
It is
but
so
to have an actor
frustrating.
not book out is just so frustrating, right?
So frustrating. It's so frustrating. And I mean, yes, there's been times when somebody books out and I think they're perfect for something and I submit them for it. They get the audition and I'm like, my bad. And I will admit it because I'm not perfect and I don't know everyone's life all the time. And I you know, we have sheets of, you know, avails or, you know, book out sheets, but sometimes I do that for a reason. Sometimes I do it for a strategic move to either get someone else in the door that I know they're not going to pick, but they would have picked this person, or because I'm going to try to get them straight to callback, or I'm going to see if maybe this person's willing to change their trip because they're perfect for it. It pays, you know, $20,000. So, you know, there's always a method to our madness in the agent world that we live in.
Right. And I think also it's important that the actors need to understand that your relationship with casting is so important. And one of the things that casting depends on you for is to make sure that you're filling those slots that they gave you. So if you've submitted several people and, you know, 4 out of 5 of them are like, oh, can't go. Actually, no, I'm going to be doing such and such. And you didn't know they were booked out. Then that makes you look bad to casting.
Do you know that when I first started, this was probably, it wasn't when I first started being an agent, but when I started at Avalon, which was 8 years ago next month. I can't believe I've been there 8 years, by the way. Wow. So at the beginning, I was very human. I'm a people pleaser. I don't want people mad at me. And so if somebody couldn't go to an audition, we'd be like, oh, it's okay. You know, blah, blah, blah. And I would get like 50 auditions a day, which was a good number for us. 50 a day is a good number. And, you know, I'd get these X's, can't go for the, and then I'd constantly try to replace, and I'm spending my whole day replacing. and which is good as a hustler, but bad for the casting director because they wanted the original person. And
Right.
so one day my commercials auditions started going down, and I was like, did I do something? Is there something that I did wrong? Am I submitting like, do I just not know what I'm doing?
Right.
And so I invited out casting directors to lunch at a big casting director agency, and said, why am I getting less auditions than I used to get? And they said, Steph, let me tell you, you have very good talent, very solid, strong talent. They are very unreliable. And I don't want to work with people that I can't trust and that are unreliable. And it was so eye-opening for me because I was like, oh my God, here I am trying to make my actors happy because they can't make an audition because of whatever reason they forgot to book out. And I'm getting screwed. And they're now looking at it. And my reputation is everything in this business. And if I have actors that are unreliable, that's on me. And so like 2 years ago, I nipped it real quick. And I was like, listen, guys, I'm the new Jan Brady, and you're going to have, and basically what I tell actors is, look, if you can't make an audition the first time, I mean, holy cow, are you okay? I'm concerned. It's okay. Life happens and I'm human. The second time it happens, I think, wow, that person has really bad luck. And then by the third time it happens, I think this person doesn't want to do it anymore, but they just don't know how to tell themselves. So that's when I kind of give them a little push of like, I don't know if this is for you, because commercials are so like this, and you have to be ready at all times and just get in the car at any given moment. Theatrical auditions, as you know, are so different. You can go other days, you can go on tape, you can, have time and then, find out a month later. Commercials are like my brain constantly. It's just this spinning hamster wheel. And so that is a huge thing for me.
I think that's so important for the Southeastern actors to hear, because a lot of them are chafing at the fact that that's what our market is becoming. It's, it used to be a little different here. Agents had personal relationships with casting directors. They didn't have to submit through the casting platforms. They could just get a number of slots and fill those. Yeah. And so it was a little more loosey-goosey. But in the last few years, it's become the same thing that LA is. They submit online, and they get an invite for specific actors, and they're told what time those actors have to be there, and there is no wiggle room, and you either show up or you don't. And your schedule affects an agent, and that affects their relationship with casting directors. So it's so important for them to understand people aren't trying to be jerks. It's the way the business works.
Yeah. And, I'll tell you, we still do get emails like that where they'll say, send us your 10 best, but those are going to be more of the smaller lower paying jobs. But if it's going to be a Dunkin' Donuts national spot, I think that a lot of the casting directors want to give the opportunity, they want to be fair and give the opportunity to everybody, and they have more time maybe. But those emails, one thing I do want to mention to your actors is about, I don't know so for us, commercials are usually Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, 10 to 1, 2 to 6, right? Do you guys have the same thing, lunch at 1 to 2?
We have no lunch breaks, but yeah, I tell people it's normally Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 is our primary.
Right.
But
Okay. So here's an interesting thing to tell your actors or whatever is, when you're given a time, don't change the time, because it's a method that the casting director put you there for a specific reason. And if you change the time, you actually might be screwing yourself. And so, there's definitely casting directors that will put you in right at 10 o'clock because they're your favorite, let's say, and the director's going to be there and they want to play with you a little bit, and they want to play with what they want to do with this commercial. And 9 times out of 10, you'll get that call back. But if you can't go at 10 and you're like, can I go at 2? I have a thing. Then, you kind of screwed yourself, because they were using you as their kind of person that they were probably going to book. And then, same with later in the day. Maybe they know something's going on at the beginning of the day, and the client is flying in from Minnesota, and they're not even going to be in the room until the afternoon, and they don't want you there until the client's in the room, because you look better. They sell you better in the room than on tape. So there's so many different reasons. So just go and agree and say yes. Otherwise, why are you doing this? This is like most of your job, like 90% of it.
Auditioning, right.
That's the whole thing. And you have to love it and be willing to do it and be like, let's go. I mean, you got to be very spontaneous to do this job.
You do. And like you said, you got to learn how to say yes. You know, I tell everyone that you need to be saying yes at least 90% of the time. You just got to figure it out, because otherwise there's no reason for someone to represent you, you know?
And I'm the same way. I say yes to everything. And half of the time I'm like, oh, you know, oh God, but you got to say yes to things, and you got to, you know, otherwise what are we doing? Right.
How often do you purge your kind of actor roles? How often do you go through and actually drop talent?
So once a year. You know what I do a lot is I look at their, how often they go out, if they took my advice for getting new headshots, how many auditions that they missed. Actually, I kind of look at their callback ratio, to be quite honest with you. And if they didn't get new headshots like I asked for, you know, there's so many factors. The callback ratio situation though, if you have, let's say 10 auditions and 1 callback, I'm a little concerned. So I'm going to start asking you about your classes and where you're taking class and if you're in class. And 9 times out of 10, they're going to go, oh, well, I was taking a break from acting class. And I'm like, well, you went out on 10 auditions and you had 1 callback. So I don't know if you want to maybe
the break's not working.
Maybe you might want to reconsider.
Right.
But I will say I keep a tight roster. I very rarely drop. And I very rarely add. I'm in a space now at Avalon for 8 years that it's my family now. It is my people. It's my family. I know them all very well. But fortunately, the good news is recently I had a couple of people join TV shows. And so I had no choice because my roster was getting smaller, not because they were dropping me. Because people drop me. I'm not, you know, life happens. You know, people drop me for whatever reason, or I drop them for whatever reason. But lately, fortunately, it's because they're going on shows. And so then I have to add new people. So I just added like 5 people to my roster.
Do you find that if an actor is booking consistently and successfully in your commercial division, does that make that person more desirable for your theatrical department?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I tell my actors that sign with me commercially that we have a theatrical department. We do have offices in New York. And if you are going out and you're booking a lot and you're becoming part of my booking team, there's no reason why I can't pitch you to the theatrical department. And I do that once a year. Once a year, I kind of gather my stars that don't have theatrical rep already and pitch them to Craig. Sometimes I'll go to pitch Craig an actor that is my star, and he'll go, oh, I would, and I'm glad that they're booking for us, but we have so-and-so that is like that type exactly, and I just don't want to screw that person. Mm-hmm. So I get that too. And he has a smaller roster. So I have 300, he has 150. So that's the only thing. But yeah, I absolutely think I don't ever sign anybody across the board just to sign them across the board. I am not a dangle the carrot kind of agent. I think it's wrong to just sign somebody across the board. Is that a thing? Do you guys do that? I'm sure you do that there.
Most common here actually to be signed across the board. They're starting to
get signs across the board for everything.
No, definitely not. Always.
Oh, okay.
It's obviously easier in the beginning to get commercial representation than theatrical representation, right. Just like anywhere. Right. But agencies are smaller here, and so there are lots of actors that are signed across the board.
Right. Got it. Okay. Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So for us, it's like you start with commercial and then work your way up to theatrical, kind of a thing. I feel like for me, if you've been at Avalon for 4 years and you are a booking commercial machine, I feel like you're kind of earning your stripes. Like it's your right. You get now theatrical rep, you know, but then I argue against these other agents that are signing these actors with no credits for theatrical rep just because they want to make money off of them commercially. And I'm like, that's such BS. If they want you theatrically, have them take you theatrically and I'll take you commercially. Mm-hmm. So it's a game. It's a game. So be careful, actors, that if there's any of you out there in the Southeast that are coming to LA and you are fortunate enough to get a few meetings and a lot of, and somebody's just like, oh, I'll only sign you if it's across the board. I don't know, maybe double think that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, because they want to make money off of you commercially, but that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be the best rep for you
It means a lot of times they will not even submit you theatrically. Let's be honest. You've got no TV credits. You are going to sit on that roster theatrically, and they just got you commercially. So I don't know. I'd be careful about that.
So last question. If you were not a talent agent, what would you be? And it could be in any field. It doesn't have to be in this one, any field.
Right, because I immediately think of three things, because I was like, in the field, I definitely like producing, and I want to go into producing. And I think eventually I might go in that direction. And I don't know if I'll be a talent agent forever. So producing is definitely my next in my brain. But if the entertainment industry didn't exist, I either would, I want to make bracelets on a beach somewhere. I want to be a bracelet maker, and I want to do bracelets on a beach, and I want to just, do that. Or I would be a toy store owner, because I am obsessed with toys, playing with toys, 80s toys I collect. I am a very avid 80s toy collector. So if anybody ever has any questions about 80s toys, I'm your girl.
And tell everyone listening to this, do not get suckered into playing any sort of 80s trivia game with this one. You will lose.
But you want to know what's funny is I did actually play 80s. It was like 80s Trivial Pursuit. Well, here's a little secret. I don't know anything about anything in the 80s except film and television.
Pop culture 80s.
If it's history, science, geography, political.
Nah, not your thing.
Not my thing.
But that's why you're doing exactly what you should be doing. But I hope that you at some point get to retire and make those bracelets on the beach.
I will make bracelets on the beach someday, and I would love to have you come out and I will make you a headband.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing with the actors all of your infinite knowledge about the LA market especially. And I love to hear the differences and how many similarities there are.